What's going on YouTube? Hey, it's Ben Nader, and you're on the channel where we talk about all things recruiting, staffing, and entrepreneurship, anything in between. And if you like that kind of stuff, hit the subscribe button down below. If you're not already subscribed right now, smash the like button for good measure, and I would truly appreciate you. So let's jump right into today's video. We are talking about contract negotiation, fees, and guarantees. So if you know anything about recruiting, you know that most of recruiting involves a fee and a guarantee of a certain outcome. So that's what the negotiation of any contract that you start with a new client will involve. Now let's unpack that entirely so that you can understand it and know how to go forth utilizing good information when you enter into the recruiting business. So when you speak with a new client or a potentially new client and you're negotiating out your terms and how you work, you're going to enter into basically a conversation of fees and guarantees. These are the main two elements that sit kind of on a seesaw of your contract. And the reason I call it a seesaw is because the two balance each other out. And when they're at the perfectly right spots, that's when the whole thing is balanced and you'll be able to do good business with your client and everything should go smooth. Basically, what it amounts to is a fee percentage based on their total gross annual income. So you'll take 2,080 working hours in a year, times that by someone's hourly rate, create what their entire year looks like, and then do a percentage based on that. If you're working in general labor, like you've heard me say before, I think 10% is the sweet spot, especially if you're a new recruiter under a year in recruiting. 10%, 12%, that should be your aim. Now, with that being said, understand that that fee is bottom barrel. So every business and every client is getting pretty much a deal when they're doing 10% with you, especially since on the other side of it, they should be hiring this person as a contractor, meaning they should actually be having you place them as a contractor on your own W-2, and they would actually cost a lot more money coming from you that way rather than paying direct hire, which will just be like a $3,000, $3,200 fee if someone's making like 17 bucks an hour. Now, based on that fee, they're going to pay a one-time dollar figure to you after a guarantee period. So here's where the guarantee comes in on the other side of the seesaw. So the guarantee essentially means that you pay this fee to us within like 14 days, 13 days, whatever you agree upon. Those are your net terms. We'll talk about that in a second. And the guarantee period is basically what means the employee, once hired, stays with you, meaning they don't leave, they aren't fired, nothing bad happens, for 30 days after start date, or 60 days after start date, or even 90 days, probably to a maximum, I would say, from their start date. And that means within that period of time, if they are fired or quit, that you then have the burden, meaning me as the recruiter or recruiting agency, to replace that candidate and put someone else in their space. You never refund money in recruiting. So if no one's told you this, this is rule number like 1.2, but you never refund money in recruiting. You only replace candidates, and that's how you set up all of your contracts. You never give money back. You always just find a new candidate. If you set it up so that you'll be doing refunds, you will chase your money in circles all day long. Now, you shouldn't have to do replacements all the time either. However, you just don't want to set it up so that you're refunding money. It's just not good business for you, and it's not going to be well in the long run for you. So long story short, you just need to make sure that your fee is ample for the workload that you're going to be doing to find candidates for this particular client. So let me give you an example. If I'm simply looking for construction laborers or someone that can drive a forklift, like not even a vehicle, like just a forklift inside of a warehouse, the workload that it will take me to find that individual is a 10% maximum workload. Therefore, I charge a 10% fee for that. It's just simple and it's just straightforward. It takes me about 10% of my effort and energy to find someone for that position, make sure they're good enough, qualify them, vet them, interview them, set them up for logistics on their side, and get them hired over there. That's why I charge a 10% fee for it. On the other hand, the guarantee for that position, I will put in place as either a 30 or maximum of 60 days guarantee. Reason being, those positions are somewhat fickle. Oftentimes anything that pays $17, $18, even $19 per hour, those positions are a little bit fickle. What I mean by fickle? Well, I mean, it's not always 100% guaranteed that your candidate's going to stay. It's likely, if you're a really good recruiter and you find really good candidates, that you're going to get candidates to stay. But you don't want to run around throwing out 90-day, 3-month guarantees on people that you're charging 10% for. I know recruiters that charge 25% for tech people that have 60-day guarantees. So you definitely don't want to go beyond 60 in general labor, and you absolutely never want to do 90. I always try to keep it personally at around 30 days because I think that's the sweet spot. And I think that balances nicely with the 10%. 10% fee. It's not going to hurt the client too much. They're going to pay me about $3,000 for somebody, and I'll give them a 30-day guarantee. Meaning if they stay, perfect, 30 days, done with them. I don't have to replace the candidate if they leave on day 31. If they leave or are fired on day 29, well, I have to do my job again. No big deal because, again, 10% fee. I only did about 10% workload of my 100% capacity, so I'm okay with making a replacement if it's within 30 days. If it's someone that I need to charge 15% to, because 15% is a lot of my energy, more of my energy than the 10%, and I give them a 30 or 60-day guarantee. The thing is, I'm going to balance that out and make sure that I'm going to try to give them maybe a lesser of a guarantee, or a higher of a guarantee if I'm taking 15% from them. So if a client's paying me, $5,000 instead of $3,000. That may be worthy of a 60-day guarantee rather than a 30-day guarantee, just because they're paying me more money up front, so I'll give them a longer period of peace of mind for them having the employee on site and staying with them before they quit or get fired or whatever happens, right? So long story short, these two things need to balance themselves out nicely, and they need to balance themselves out with the client as well. So your role in recruiting when you negotiate guarantees and fees and all of that is to make sure you're educating and influencing your client properly by explaining, this is why the fee is this much, and this here is why the guarantee is this much, this is how the guarantee works, and this is how it works with the fee structure and the replacement versus a refund and yada yada, and you need to work that out. Now, lots of clients will immediately want something like a 4, 5, 6 month guarantee. This is where you say no, because you don't work with clients like that. I talked to a dentist one time who wanted to do a couple dental hygienists, and he wanted 6-month guarantees on all of them. I think he wanted about 3. It probably would have been about a $20,000 deal if I had worked with him, found the hygienist, great, no big deal. He also wanted 6 months guarantee, and that's the only way that he would work with me. So that negotiation clearly fell through because I would never do a 6-month guarantee on someone. I simply do not want to wait 6 months to make sure that someone stays around at their position. That's just not a fan of that. The flip side is, I was also charging him 10%. And so, for that 10%, you're not going to get more than a 60-day guarantee at maximum. It's not happening. There's no way. So you have to think of things through the lens of your energy, your effort, and how much you're putting in and what you're going to be able to promise them, basically, at the end of the day. So this is their warranty that they're able to fulfill with you and what they can cash in and say, hey, if this guy leaves or quits within 60 days, you have to replace them. Just keep in mind how much workload it takes to actually find that person and what your internal gut tells you about that type of role and that position and how long that person will most likely stay. We cannot control people, right? So I've done videos about this where human beings are the most unreliable resource on planet Earth. They're absolutely unpredictable. We have no idea what anyone will do. Someone could quit day 3, day 1. We don't know. Anything can happen. But what we want to do is use our best judgment, judge the role, judge the candidates, take a look and do a little bit of research, ask them about their business, about their company, and how much kind of churn they've had over time, as far as people quitting and leaving and things like that, and, how they treat their employees, kind of find out, do some detective work, figuring out what the place looks like and how hard the workload is, and maybe, adjust things based on that. Because at the end of the day, this is your money, this is your work, and someone way smarter than me told me at one point, you don't want to create a job for yourself, you want to create a business. And so by doing that, you ultimately need to work smarter, not harder, and factor these things in so that they're right every single time, and your calculations and your math isn't bad, so that when you do negotiate out a contract with someone and it's all brand new and set up, it's in your favor and it meets the client's expectations as well. You don't want to undercut and screw anybody, right? But you also want to make sure that you are set up for success. So when you negotiate new contracts and you're setting up fees and guarantees, keep all these factors in mind. Make sure that your fee is ample for what effort it's going to take to put that person in the position. Make sure also that your guarantee meets the criteria that you want to promise to a client for how long that person is going to stay until you have to replace them, or until you do not have to replace them any longer. So keep those things in mind when doing contract negotiations with fees and guarantees. All very important stuff. This is fundamental, elemental before you should, check out any new contracts with any new clients. I hope you're watching this video. So that's all I got for Sunday today, guys. I will catch you on Monday. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and like if you found any value in this. All right, thanks. Take care.